This is not the right tech manual for this episode. The question I have to ask you guys, both United States military gas-operated weapons, what do they have in common? Not much, okay? A lot has been said about the Garand, but not a lot has been said about this piece of equipment. Much maligned, much yelled at, but at the end of the day, this thing's in here to get a little bit of welding done on it, which we did. We reparked the receiver. And we put it back together again and oiled it. I don't know. Ignore the suppressor. The only real thing that this has in common with this is that the Garand's gas system sort of morphed into this 1914 Hotchkiss gas system M14. Down the rabbit hole. You might find this one interesting. This gas system has been used before in the Hotchkiss, the 1914 Hotchkiss. It got used in the portative, that upside down and backwards abomination that were foisted upon American forces down in Mexico. However, here we have a gas system where all the dirt is held in one place. This piston rides in and out here, picks up all of its gas here, and comes to the rear. The reason why it's kind of like a 1914 Hotchkiss is that it has an expansion chamber. This expansion chamber screws in there, and that allows the gases time to expand and cool, and it slows down their violence of action. I believe that's how that works. And then when this comes to the rear, this will come to the rear and it will hit the operating rod, which slides this entire protuberance to the rear. The superficial resemblance of this to a Lewis machine gun bolt should not be lost. The superficial resemblance of this entire setup to an MG42 should not be lost. So basically we have all of the worst parts of a Lewis, an MG42, a 1914 Hotchkiss, and an M14 all laid out on this bench. Some major differences in this setup between this and a Lewis is this is actually spring-loaded. Now in a Lewis, you just have the firing pin sticking through the middle of the bolt, and it's the mass of the op rod coming forward that touches it off. This thing actually has a spring, and when you kick that around, it'll go in and it'll pop a primer. So in this case, this whole thing here would enter into the back of the bolt like that, and then when it gets in, it rotates, locks, touches off the round. We come down, we get gas pressure here, that piston part slides to the rear, knocks the front end of this thing, and this takes off to the rear. This whole setup right there, so that notch in the rod, this is actually a very simple setup. This is not a trigger. This is what makes the gun stop. If you were to take this out of the gun, pull this operating rod out of the rear and turn it loose, this thing would dump a belt on you because there'd be no way to stop it. Open bolt guns, guns that are fired in the ready position, this particular gun, hang on a minute, let me come back and set this back up here for us. Here we go. Guns that are, hang on a minute. There's a lot of spring force here that I'm fighting. We'll come back in here. Okay. When this gun is sitting here at battery, getting ready to go, this is where the trigger mechanism is, right here. And when you pull the trigger, this whole thing comes to the front and it comes back. So there's this tendency in open bolt guns to treat these things like they're every other gun in the world, and they're not. Your immediate thing that you've been trained to do is pull the bolt open to make it safe. In this particular case, you pull the bolt open and you cock it and it's ready to go off again. So if you're going to run an open bolt gun, make sure you know what the heck you're looking at. Last deal here is we have this cam mechanism that rides in this tray, and I got this tray backwards, I'm sorry. So as this cam roller is running back and forth in this, it's coming back, grabbing a new set of links, shoving them through, hanging onto it, and it's just running the gun with the ammo coming in this way. Like that. It runs across the top and it's just shoveling the ammo through one round at a time. It's very hard to demonstrate this. And again, because it's an open bolt gun, you can't just let the striker down on a primer. You just can't do that. Last thing on the back end of this, you have a buffer assembly that goes into the rear end of it. And this buffer is just when all of this gun is what you would call overgassed, but it's set up for it. There was a means to decelerate all of that inertia as it comes to, or momentum actually, as it comes to the rear. Unlike, say, a Walther K43, which was overgassed, and when all of that formation of garbage hit the rear end of the receiver housing, things broke. All right. In this case, it's overgassed. Something else. This surface here, 1, 2, 3, 4, rides in a square channel inside of the receiver. And this square channel here inside the receiver rides on that. So this is essentially a linear bearing that's sliding back and forth. You get any dirt up inside of this housing, and this thing will go down. Headspace in a gun is defined as the distance between the datum line on a cartridge. So the datum line on a 308 cartridge is this halfway point right up the taper here, right, to the abutment. And the abutment is the surface on the gun that the locking lugs push into, that bolt thrust pushes into. So headspace on this gun is from here to the datum line. In this particular case, the headspace comes along with the gun and is in this cassette, kind of like you have in, say, one of Stoner's designs, where everything is done inside that receiver ring. Well, same deal on this brand of Mauser. The receiver screws to the barrel, and that sets headspace. And that system holds even on very, very, very large guns like this T-Gewehr. All right, what the heck do I have 3 different size bolts here for? I just thought you'd find this interesting. This goes to a T-Gewehr, and you're gonna hear about this later. I still haven't got my arms around what the heck we're gonna do. This T-Gewehr, let's say that several people have attempted to bring this thing back to life, and they just didn't quite get there. That comes out of an 88 Mauser, Gewehr 88. Yeah, we showed that before. This comes out of an interesting little cat that Bruno has, and it's in 38 auto, not 38 automatic Colt, but 38 auto. Really, really funky. There's lots of different ways to do ammo, but what we're mostly interested in are links. Let's take a look at how links are put together and how they work. All right, what the heck is a disintegrating link? What you've got on one of these is a little tab there that's going to hook on this, so that when you shove this in, and I'm not putting the other side in on purpose, this will come up and snap right there. So you can see where that lip is snapped, right? Well, when we do that with 2 of these links, they'll overlap each other in such a way that one will slide through and trap the other one. So here we've now got a step there that's holding this in alignment. And the advantages to this setup are that they're not susceptible to moisture like a cloth belt on a Maxim is. All right? So then as the round gets shoved out by the gun, this just does that, and that's what you see raining out of the side of it. We'll do a third one, and then I'm going to show you how the other half lives here. So put a third one in there, and bang, and you can link these up, and then they disintegrate as you shove the round out. So as the round gets pushed out by the gun, and this isn't showing up real well, that link fell off, this comes out and it just falls out the side of the gun. But there is a better way. Linker, Mark 1, Mod 0, made by Kendall Ordnance. Hard to see because of the, there it is, Kendall Ordnance. Wonderful piece of hand-machined kit. Oh no, sacrilege! Mark is drilling holes in his workbench. Get over it. My workbench is a tool. I'm a tool. You're a tool. We're all tools. In the rear notch, this drops into this notch and it pushes these forward just until the rims hit their spacing detent. Perfect. Here we have a link, right? But let's say, for instance, you're buying linked milsurp ammo and you want to de-link it. You can just set it down in here like this, come up to the front notch, kick it down. Oh, wait a minute. I put that in the wrong place. I'm not really skilled in the use of this. There we go. Put that up there in the front notch like that. That's got to drop. And then in the front, it'll just kick them out like that. Those will all fall out, and then you can just take a magnet and come through and pick up all your excess linkage. That is a pretty sharp piece of kit. Jesus Christ, this pig's heavy. What a pain in the butt. Real funny. You guys took the truck to the back to wait for me. Really funny. Mechanized infantry, my ass. What the hell? I swear to God. Gotta love a good smoke in the morning. We've just had 9 inches of rain in 2 days. These idiots have driven the truck back up again and left me to schlep the pig. 9 inches of rain is nothing compared to what these guys in Vietnam had to put up with. It's a hot day today. I cannot imagine doing this in full combat gear, toting my bedding in the middle of nowhere where the trees are trying to shoot back at me. Nothing but respect, guys. I know we called your gun a pig, but you want a level of commitment? Look at this guy. He chose his weapon over oxygen. That's commitment. So this little bit of water I'm walking back through, this is just me telling you Nam guys that you were hardcore. And you were all 18, 20, scared shitless, and nobody wanted to be there. You know what I gotta really figure out how to do is how you guys kept a cigar lit in this muck. You guys are a special breed. That was twice. There will not be a third time. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna get this from over here because we've already got a camera in shot, so having me in shot, I wanna watch the belt go in the gun. Good point?
Yeah. Bruno, as you're shooting, I'll be vacuuming them up, so don't worry about it. those slow runners.
That stings, man. It goes right up your nose. Oh, God, that burns. Woo. I got a little toasty, yeah.
I'm just waiting for the entire side of the weapon to corrode from contact with his beard.
Yeah, right.
Bruno has poisoned hands. That was awesome, brother. Thanks. Rick, who was old enough to have actually voted for Lyndon Johnson, is going to get some trigger time on the pig. Let's watch.
Second burst, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yep, buddy.
Infantry.
Well, back inside, I think I've proven my point. One of the deals on this was that you could take a cool barrel and replace for one that had been shot out. Now this thing still doesn't have a lot of wear on it, so I have to persuade this nut back a little bit. But that's a quick change barrel system here, and I kind of thought that was interesting. I got to tell you what, this has been a very, very interesting time in the shop. We did some conservation. We realized that it's a unique piece of gas-operated equipment, and I think I've done everything to it except possibly, and as always, it's been a pleasure to get down the rabbit hole with you guys, and today get in touch with my more feminine side.